Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
Debt bondage?
You speak of the moneylender. How is that inconsistent with the rule?
He wouldn't want to be trapped in a 30-year labor contract because of a loan.
And he would never have signed a contract pledging his labor for 30 years. All he did was enforce the terms of a contract signed voluntarily by others.
The whole concept of debt bondage, like slavery, is unethical. It's illegal under international law where I'm from.
Ignoring your irritating sense of moral superiority. This is interesting. I'm curious, how do people escape poverty where you're from?
That's not... It's customary to take out a loan, to buy a house, and pay for an education. That doesn't quite work. That's about the same thing, isn't it?
I see. And how long might it take such a person to repay their debt?
Oh, decades, sometimes their entire life.
I fail to see how your system of loans is significantly different to a debt bondsman signing over his labor for 30 years.
It's not the same thing, but I see the parallels you're drawing, and it's disturbing, but it's not the same thing.
Supposing you're right,
Oh, God.
and my law's been broken, and I should turn you all to gold.
No, it's not what I want. No.
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
Abduction?
Abduction? You mean the magistrate imprisoning his daughter in the cistern, right?
And he thinks that that's the right thing to do.
She sought to escape. A sin I take particularly seriously. Better that he stops her from escaping, albeit brutishly, than I have to wipe out this entire city to punish her. Wouldn't you agree?
I disagree with that. Suppose you're right and my law has been broken and I should turn
Now
you
tell
all
me.
into gold. Price gouging for life-saving medicine.
The merchant. How is that inconsistent with the rule I've outlined?
He wouldn't want someone else to demand an outrageous price for the medicine he needed if he was dying.
I disagree. Having watched this merchant, that is precisely what he would expect from others, and he would be quite capable of paying the price anyway.
Not in every single situation. Again, speculation.
Applying this rule always requires speculation.
Yep.
Not if... Now tell...
It's no wonder people... Well, what do you have to say about experiments on golden statues?
The midwife in the palace, yes. How is that inconsistent with the rule?
She wouldn't want to be experimented on if she was gilded. I was just like, you punish these people and she's trying to free them. Wouldn't that break your rule?
The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else.
Oh,
Bloodless shadows, mere shapes of their former self.
so it doesn't matter.
They are forsaken. What happens to them is no concern of mine.
Ah, I see.
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
I see. No wonder people say the gods are cruel. It just shows how unreliable and subjective your moral code is. You're no better at judging right from wrong than any human.
Do you honestly think you could do better?
No, but that's my point. Nobody's grasp of right or wrong is so perfect they can be trusted with all this power. You've become a tyrant. Kind of, yes.
I should strike you down for that.
That's fine. You're gonna do it anyway, and if you did, you'd be proving my point.
Now, did you have any other questions before your reckoning?
Talk about something else.
Very well.
That's all the questions I had.
Good. Then now it is time for your reckoning.
Okay.
Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see to the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
That's not the story you gave me. I'm from the future. Maybe you're getting forgetful in your old age.
If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal?
Oh.
Who brought you here?
Okay.
I don't know.
She doesn't remember me because in this time she didn't ferry me, but she did ferry me in the future. I was hoping you could tell me.
I do not know. My kin departed long ago, and Proserpine has slumbered for 3,000 years.
Shouldn't you know this as the god of the underworld?
Tread lightly, mortal. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you see?
I want to break the golden rule.
Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you,
I'm gonna die.
you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments.
Wrong-headed arguments?
You face death.
The frick are wrong-headed arguments?
Why should I put an end to the so-called golden rule?
Because it's arbitrary. If you're doing this for love, you should know Persona doesn't love you. Yeah, that's not gonna work. How can you expect us to live without sin if you can't do it yourself? The golden rule itself is corrupting the city, ensuring you'll never win the wager.
How so? And be specific. You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up.
Dacius is price gouging because he knows no one can take it by force. Rufus has become so paranoid he's jumping at shadows, like Virgil's sexuality. Aurelius is exploiting people's desperation to escape by selling them hemlock. Malleolus has trapped people in debt bondage by convincing them that rebelling would break your law. Let's start at the top.
True. I have witnessed him doing that.
Aurelius exploiting people?
I admit, I have grown disturbed watching them.
Malleolus has trapped people in debt bondage.
His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day.
And I guess I need to throw out Rufus.
He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. If you're right, my involvement has corrupted the very thing I sought to observe impartially. But if I were to accept that, are you telling me these humans could coexist peacefully, without theft or violence, without my law?
No. Humans need to be able to use force in exceptional circumstances to correct their societies.
How so?
We use violence to discourage bad behavior, to neutralize criminals, and overthrow tyrants.
And how is that working for you?
I haven't. Where I'm from, 2,000 years in the future, it's working pretty well. Average life expectancies are climbing, and crime rates are declining on average.
So you say, and yet your world is still imperfect.
Yes, it's getting better all the time. That is true. If you look at the history of the world, on average, over time, we are only improving. It's getting better all the time. One day we'll get there.
Your words are breathtakingly naive.
Shit.
I reject your argument.
Can we do it again?
How so? And be specific. Pathetic.
Shit. How can you expect us to live without sin if you can't do it yourself?
That is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it?
Didn't you abduct her and imprison her here?
I am well aware of the story of Greeks and Romans of my so-called abduction. It is entirely unfair. My love was dying, and I intervened the only way I could to save her life. What would you have done?
But didn't she choose to die?
It was an act of rebellion against the others. She knew I would have to act to save her, and I did because I loved her. I love her still. Accordingly, I reject your argument.
You've trapped people in the city against their will, you've given terrible punishments to hundreds of people, some for minor sins, and some who've committed no sins at all.
Every one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. The Romans understand this, as did the Greeks before them.
Where I'm from, collective punishment is considered one of the most egregious crimes there is.
How unfortunate we are not where you are from.
If our positions were reversed, you wouldn't want me to punish you for the sins of other people.
Ah, but I am a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights?
No.
Of course not. Because that would be absurd.
No.
Just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals.
What makes your kind superior to mine? Ooh, I'm gonna ask that question.
Where to begin? Our lifespans exceed yours by thousands of years, in which time we accumulate vast wisdom and a mastery of technology you cannot begin to imagine.
Why does wisdom and technology make you superior?
Because that is the source of our power over you.
So you think you're not obliged to treat us fairly because you're more powerful than us?
You could say that.
What is it the Roman Stoics said? Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you?
My kin have no superiors.
Didn't you say Jupiter was your leader? There's a hierarchy within your kin.
That is true. Go on.
So you're treating humans the way you would wish Jupiter to treat you?
Make your point, mortal.
If you can't follow your own rule, how can you expect humans to?
Let me ponder that for a moment. If you're right, then it would follow that all this time I have been in the wrong. But no, the very thought of it agrees.
Sometimes we have to accept that we're
How can I
wrong.
accept your argument when doing so would make me a tyrant and a monster?
You learn from your mistakes. You're not a monster, you're a human, you made a mistake.
Wait, what? What are you saying?
Humans make mistakes.
You have spoken eloquently, and yet, if what you say is true, it follows that my wager was fatally flawed from the beginning.
Or the way you carried it
That
out.
would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who knew more about you than anyone, proposed a wager I could never win. Why would he do that?
Perhaps he made a mistake too. Perhaps he wanted you to abandon the wager so it would be free of you. Perhaps he felt threatened by you. Did he feel threatened by you? Maybe he made a mistake.
A mistake? But he is the best and greatest of us.
Perhaps when you took on human form, you took on some human foibles as well.
Your words sting me, mortal. But perhaps it is what I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. And I cannot deny it any longer. I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elysium that every time one of you sinned, it wore away my hope of being with her again. In time, I began to despise your kind for making her believe that you could ever be better than you are. But my rage was not born of malice. Quite the opposite. Everything I have done, I did because I loved her. Who knew this empathy of yours, which you celebrate so much, could have such a dark underside?
Yeah.
This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend.
Why not?
Because doing so would violate the rules of my sacred agreement with Jupiter, and you would receive a hostile reception. The best I can do is return you to the land of the living. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest,
Why?
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready?
Okay.
Farewell, mortal.
I saved everybody! Ow! Whoa. This place looks different.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al.
I came here to find you.
Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I'm Kathleen.
Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience, and the doors just opened up to her. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues?
Did he set them free?
And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years?
These rumors are crazy. It was me.
What? Oh, I see. For a moment there, I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
Yeah, let's do it. And you're gonna board that up, all right?
I'm gonna pause here
For a moment, make sure no one ever... Okay.
You go on ahead.
Gotta figure out what the final... I'm pretty sure this is the 4th ending, so we're missing the 3rd ending.
You're back! But you're alone.
I found him.
Oh, why don't you tell me what you discovered?
I discovered you're not who you said you were. I remember meeting you 2,000 years ago.
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
Who are you, really?
You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Most souls ask yourself a wise decision.
Pluto said the coins Al and I had were for the last of existence. What does that mean for you?
It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here.
Can you return us to the land of the living? This is all the same?
Perhaps you have heard.
You two look exhausted. Why don't you hop in my boat and rest while I ferry you back to civilization?
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go home?
Alright. One year later. What?
Hey, you made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius's tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
Oh, hello.
You're finally here. Remember me?
What the frick? What are you doing here?
It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Karen appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance at life.
Well, this has gotta be quite jarring. You're with Aquita now?
I know. I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're going to be around, we'd love to see you then.
I'd love that. Count me in. What are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, I used Karen's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
It's good to see you again.
Of course, there's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you, so you'd better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
So did Al track down all these people? Hi, Dooley.
Hello. I'm Dooley.
Mm-hmm. I remember you.
Galerius said you're very nice and a big helper. Thank you
There
for
she
getting us
is.
out of the bad place. I didn't like it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I live at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now and help me remember when I forget things, like brushing my teeth.
I'm sorry I never found your treasure. Maybe that's the last ending.
Treasure? Oh, I forgot about that. I like my box now. Galerius got me a box that tells stories. It's my favourite thing.
Is it a television? I'm glad you're happy. Story boxes are great, aren't they?
Yeah, they're fun.
It's good to see you again, Dooley.
Bye-bye.
Or does he mean video games?
There she is.
Look at you.
You're here. It's lovely to finally meet you. Galerius told me all about you.
We met.
So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable.
What are you doing these days?
Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large family, and Dooley too, of course. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn, and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us. For all of us.
How's Livia?
Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere, if you'd like to ask her yourself.
I'll do that. It's good to see you again.
See you at the wedding, I hope.
You two are cute.
You're the Oracle, right?
Yeah. Kathleen's fine.
Oh, of course. Sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you. For telling Galerius how to save my life. And of course, getting me, and all of us, out of a terrible situation.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend.
Aww.
And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire ever was. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never knew existed?
Yep.
And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable. Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so excited. There's so much to see and learn and write about.
Seeing the world through fresh eyes sounds wonderful.
I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that. One day.
Whatever happened to Malleolus and Claudia?
Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire, and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy. Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the underworld. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude. Sounds like they got what was coming to them.
I couldn't agree more.
Whatever happened to Aurelia?
Ugh, someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life from now on. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently, he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some exotic place called... what was it? Nigeria? Some people have all the luck.
She married a Nigerian prince? Something tells me I foresee terrible disappointment in her future.
Really? Huh. I feel better already. Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and listen to the stories of the 9 million people who live there.
Sure, I'll take you up on that.
I hope so.
You are here?
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to finally meet you.
Hi.
Lucy is fine.
Aw.
I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep a low profile. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, they'd never leave us alone. Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smile on you, but
Hello.
I hear you drove the last of them off. So...
What are you doing these days?
I'm studying to get into medical school.
Oh.
As much as I resented the responsibility of keeping everyone in the city alive, when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world, if begrudgingly, one patient at a time.
It's good to see you.
You too. Don't be a stranger.
I thought she'd do a different, she'd take a different life path, but... Oh, of course you joined the military. Hi.
Good to see you again.
Hi.
I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life, and reuniting Scintilla with us as well. So, thank you.
What are you doing with yourselves these days?
I'm living up north and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot, but some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones who pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides.
I'm sorry you never got to see your girl again.
Ah, you remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time, but that's done. In the words of Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself, your precious one, isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now, not forever.
Well said. I'm glad you're coping.
Thanks. Oh, and I don't know if you've heard, but a few of us are going for drinks later. It'd be nice to, chat with you some more.
Sounds good, I'll be there.
Great.
Whatever happened to Domitius?
He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting than most.
Oh.
He got himself disqualified from the UFC. So he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament, like we had in Rome. Suppose it appealed to people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out, and his life along with it. You know what they say. Live by the sword, die by the sword.
That's a shame.
Perhaps.
It's good to see you again.
See you at drinks later, I hope.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you again.
Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't want to be associated with Sentius after what happened.
It's a good name.
I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great Temple.
Did she?
She knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. He's... you know what? The important thing is, we'll never see him again.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please.
Good for you.
Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just awful out there. Barbarians everywhere.
What happened to Sentius?
He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Trapped in a metal shell, slowly losing his mind until the end of time.
That's kind of...
Eternal torment. Just what he deserves, if you ask me.
That's what he wanted, was to never die. Seems a bit excessive, though, don't you think?
I try not to think about him at all.
It's good to see you again, Cynthia.
You too. See you around.
Is Scintilla here? Is Scintilla here?
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sincere privilege to finally make your acquaintance. I am Georgius.
We met before.
I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades, and for that, I am most grateful.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2,000 years, I barely recognize it. This is at once heartbreaking and thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced off against the fearsome god of the underworld and won.
Consider me there. It's good to see you again.
You too, my friend.
Fabia.
You're the one we've been waiting for. I'm Fabia.
Hi.
I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been crushed by that shrine for sure.
You're welcome.
I'm just so happy to be here with you and everyone together again, even if it's just for one more night.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants. What a time to be alive.
Yes. I'm glad you're happy.
Thank you. I really am.
It's good to see you, Fabia.
You too.
I like this ending, but it almost wraps up. Everyone's too happy. Oh, hey, it's you. Hey.
I take it you're the Oracle everybody's talking about. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Can I get your name? We've met before. I wouldn't expect you to remember it.
We have. I'm sorry, I don't remember. In any case, I'm Philip. I never thought I'd leave that cave, let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century. What a time to be alive. And it seems I have your catabasis to thank for it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University, helping fill the odd gap in their knowledge. Not that I need the money, but I do love being around enlightened minds again.
It's good to see you.
My sincere thanks once again.
What are you doing?
Some soiree, innit?
Really, dude?
Oh, hello at last. You must be the oracle I've heard so much about. I'm Dacius.
Hi.
Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you.
I didn't do it for you. No need to thank me. It was entirely unintended.
Such a acerbic wit. I love it.
Do I want to know what you're doing?
I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market.
Oh, God.
That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice.
No.
You being the oracle and future seer and all that, on which stocks I should invest in next. I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms.
Oh, God.
What do you recommend?
Oh, God. I wouldn't help you. I can't really see the future, dude.
Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Dacius. I won't take no for an answer.
No. DVD rentals have a big future. Broadcast television. Print media. It's gonna make a huge comeback. DVD rentals.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight. I'm gonna make a bloody fortune.
Yeah, enjoy.
Of course, don't let me keep you. Thanks again for the tips, my friend.
You're welcome. Enjoy that. Oi.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
How you doing?
I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things to do than visit the likes of us. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him.
Oh, that sounds like a noble cause. Good on you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It's good to see you again.
And you.
Good evening.
Hi.
Greetings.
You look much better. You're looking very well, Livia.
Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
What are you doing with yourselves these days?
I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while. At least until I'm well enough to be independent again.
Read any good poems lately?
Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000 years worth of poetry to catch up on now. I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe.
Oh, God.
I think I may have found a kindred spirit.
No, Olivia.
Many have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence.
I can't stand Poe. It's good to see you again, Livia.
And you. Farewell, friend.
I'm glad you are enjoying him. Is Navia gonna be here? Navia, however you pronounced it? Oh, how are you doing?
It is an honor to finally meet you, Oracle.
Thanks.
You know my name? Oh, of course. You are an oracle. You know many.
He's not an oracle.
I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman, and I came to see there is nothing for me there. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world.
There you go.
It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
I would love to backpack around the world. Good on you.
Indeed.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you, Oracle.
Hi.
Evening.
Oh, Scintilla. Hi.
Oh, I go by Gabriella now.
Oh.
I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him.
Sorry. Sounds like he got what he deserved. What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed it would be. I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, I hope you'll come and visit us. You can try some of our very own wine.
Aw. I might do that. It's good to see you again, Gabriella.
Thanks. You too.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius.
Good to see you too.
I understand I have you to thank for sending Galerius to save my life. The way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake. I'll be forever in your debt.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while before we know what we're doing, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, what if I'd given up hope and missed out on all of this? So we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way, sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now, and watching the sunset over the rolling hillside. And I couldn't be happier.
Good on you. I'm glad.
Thank you. I wouldn't be here without you.
Good to see you.
You too.
Hello?
It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much.
We've met!
I wanted to thank you personally for getting us out of there. And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam.
Oh, he is Rufus now.
From Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets full of educated, accepting people.
There you go.
Natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are.
Some of us do. It's good to see you again, Virgil.
You too. If you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd love to show you around. It's the least we could do.
Especially those in the LGBT community understand what it's like in this century versus, you know, the 90s? Or the 80s even? Take you up on that. It's gotten better. It's still getting better.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you too.
I go by Rufus now. New start.
Hello.
New name. Oh, and thanks, by the way, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good with the mushy stuff.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war, and it rebuilt itself. Good place for a fresh start. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with my life yet. One adjustment at a time.
So are the two of you together? Or are you still figuring that out? Turns out you were right, the statues were really watching us.
Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. Security cameras and smartphones everywhere. Got to stay vigilant.
Okay. You'll get used to it. Good to see you again, I guess.
You too. Look us up next time you're in the Netherlands. We're grateful.
Yeah, it does sound like... Okay.
Hello.
I'm kind of... Yeah, I was really hoping Navia would be okay. Or Navia, or whatever her name was. So, I really helped everybody escape.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Persephone?
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time.
I recognize that voice.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Persephone, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention.
You were whispering to me all along?
Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
Did what you could, thank you. You created the time loop?
I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. So I whispered to Sentius in secret, telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day, and as a veteran soldier, he had long since shed his fear of death. He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle. Of course, once I had taught him the prayer, I could not unteach him, and there was little I could do but wait for someone like you to come along and see him for what he was. We were all fortunate you came along when you did.
What became of Pluto?
I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I can understand that. What became of Chiron?
Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind.
Aww.
She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day.
A sequel? It's nice meeting you.
And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
Are they the people below?
Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus.
I have my own statue.
I'd be proud.
That's gonna look weird to people. Alright, so I didn't get the third one.